This is a song called Bonnie Bunch of Roses by June Tabor and Oyster Band about young Napoleon. Bonnie Bunch of Roses, which is words for England, Scotland and Wales, I think, in the song at least. By the margin of the ocean, one pleasant evening in the month of June, the charming singing blackbird his cheerful notes did sweetly tune. It was there I spied a woman, all overpowered by grief and woe, conversing with young Bonaparte concerning the bonny bunch of roses, oh. Then up spoke young Napoleon as he took hold of his mother's hand, saying, "Mother dear, be patient, for soon I will take command. I will raise a terrible army, and through tremendous dangers go, and in spite of all the universe, I'll conquer the bonny bunch of roses, oh." When first you saw great Bonaparte, you fell down on your bended knee. You begged your father's life of him, and he granted it right manfully. And then he took an army, and over the frozen Alps did go. He said, "I'll conquer Moscow, and come back to the bonny bunch of roses, oh." He took 500,000 men, and kings likewise to join his throng. He was so well provided for, enough to sweep the world along. But when he came to Moscow, he was overpowered by driving snow, and Moscow was a-blazing, and he lost the bonny bunch of roses, oh. So soon, don't speak so venturesome, for England she had a heart of oak, and England, Ireland and Scotland, their unity has never been broke. And now think on your father, in St. Helena his body lies low, and you may follow after, so beware of the bonny bunch of roses, oh. Adieu, adieu forever, now I bow my youthful head. Had I lived I might have been clever, but now I lie in my dying bed. And as the waters do flow, and the weeping willows over me grow, the name of brave Napoleon will enshrine the bonny bunch of roses, oh. The name of brave Napoleon will enshrine the bonny bunch of roses, oh. The bonny bunch of roses.
Very interesting.
Joan Tabor was mentioned in your text about the song, and I can remember her from the 60s just about.
Yeah, I think they're gradually winding down, Oyster Band. I don't think they'll be going much longer.
No. Probably June must be my age, I should think.
Yeah.
I'm
They've
guessing.
been going a very long time anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised
Around
if
in
she
the
hasn't.
London folk scene in the 60s, certainly.
I wouldn't be surprised if she hasn't hit her 80th birthday. To be absolutely honest,
Well, I said she was about my age. I'm 81, so.
I think she's certainly a wee bit older than I am. Although I did know her for a short while because
Did you?
we in the same area in Coventry. And then she left for London, and so basically we were never close enough to keep contact up, to be honest.
No, I can remember her around London in the 60s. And she was.
And we sang together outside gents' toilets, that's one thing I know, because it was very echoey.
Oh, excellent. That's tremendous.
This is a country song called Country Bumpkin, sang by American country singer Carl Smith. Country Bumpkin. He walked up to the bar and parked his lanky frame upon a tall bar stool, and with a long soft southern drawl said, "I'll just have a glass of anything that's cool." A barroom girl with hard and knowing eyes slowly looked him up and down, and she thought, "I wonder how on earth that country bumpkin found his way to town." She said, "Hello, country bumpkin, how's the frost down on the pumpkin? I've seen sights, but man, you're something. Where'd you come from, country bumpkin?" It was just a short year later, in a bed of joy-filled tears, yet death-like pain, into this wondrous world of many wonders, one more wonder came. That same woman's face was wrapped up in raptured look of love and tenderness, as she marvelled at the soft and warm and cuddly boy child feeding at her breast. And she said, "Hello, country bumpkin, fresh as frost down on the pumpkin. I've seen some sights, but babe, you're something. Mama loves her country bumpkin." 40 years of hard work later, in a simple, quiet and peaceful country place, the heavy hand of time had not erased the raptured wonder from the woman's face. She was lying on her deathbed, knowing fully where her race was nearly run. But she softly smiled and looked into the sad eyes of her husband and her son, and she said, "So long, country bumpkin, the frost is gone now from the pumpkin. I've seen some sights and life's been something. See you later, country bumpkin." Yes, she said, "So long, country bumpkin, the frost is gone now from the pumpkin. I've seen some sights and life's been something. See you later, country bumpkin." Country bumpkin.
Oh,
Thank you, Brian.
oh.
I used to call a folk dance called Country Bumpkin. Nothing to do with that song, but it reminded me of the dance that we used to do. There we go, it's another story.
Right.
This is a folk song called Flower of Sweet Strabane by the Irish Rovers. Flower of Sweet Strabane. If I were King of Ireland and had all things at my will, I would roam through all creation, new fortunes still to find. But the fortune I would seek the most of all must understand is to win the heart of Carol, the flower of sweet Strabane. Her cheeks they are rosy red, and her hair a golden brown, and over her lily white shoulders it carelessly flows down. Carol is the fairest lassie you will find throughout the land, and my heart is captivated by the flower of sweet Strabane. If I had you, lovely Carol, away to inner zone, or in some lovely valley in the wild woods of Tyrone. I would use my best endeavour, and I would try to work my plan, for to win the prize and feast my eyes on the flower of sweet Strabane. Now I will go o'er the Lagan, my steamship is on the tide, for now I am sailing for America, across the ocean wide. And my ship is bound but from Liverpool down by the Isle of Man. So farewell and God bless you, Carol, my flower of sweet Strabane. Well, I have been in the Phoenix Park and in Killarney Fair, the lovely glens of Antrim and the winding banks of Clare. In all my earthly travels I never yet met one that could compare, I do declare, with Carol, the flower of sweet Strabane. But since I cannot gain her love, no joy there is for me, and I must seek forgetfulness in lands across the sea. Unless she cares to follow me, I swear by my right hand, Mackinnon's face you'll never more see, my Carol, the flower of sweet Strabane. So it's farewell to sweet Derry Quay, New Mills and Waterside. I will sail out over the ocean, whatever may betide. I will sail away from Derry Quay, out by the Isle of Man, and I will bid farewell to Carol, the flower of sweet Strabane. Yes, I will bid farewell to Carol, the flower of sweet Strabane. The flower of sweet Strabane. I changed the name of the lady to Carol, which was my late wife's name. So.
Nicely done, Brian. Thanks.
Yeah, I do that in lots of songs. Change the name.
That was nice. I didn't know you changed it to Carol, but I thought it was sweet that it had your wife's name in it.
Yeah, it was Martha in the original tune.
Martha in the song?
Yeah.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
This is a song called Goldfinger, which was the theme song for the 1965 James Bond film, which was sung by Shirley Bassey, and it's called Goldfinger. Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch. Golden words he will pour in your ear, but his lies can't disguise what you fear, for a golden girl knows when he's kissed her. It's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of this heart of gold, because his heart it is cold. He is such a cold finger, who beckons you to enter his web of sin. But don't go in, Golden words he will pour in your ear, but his lies can't disguise what you fear. For a golden girl knows when he's kissed her. It's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of this heart of gold. His heart is cold. He is such a cold finger who beckons you to enter his web of sin. But don't go in. Gold words he will pour in your ear, but his lies can't disguise what you fear. For a golden girl knows when he's kissed her. It's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of this heart of gold. His heart is cold. He loves only gold, only gold. He loves gold. He loves only gold, only gold. He loves gold. Goldfinger.
Haven't got your sequins on.
Well done, Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Bond.
This is a country folk song called the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, which is a parody song that was written and sung by the world famous Steve Love. The Isle of Wight Steam Railway. There's a train they call the City of New Orleans. They say it goes 500 miles a day. But if I can't get to ride by that line by some means, I've always got the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. It goes from Haven Street to Wootton, back to Haven Street, then Smallbrook back to Haven Street, and then, in a cloud of steam and heat, from Wootton back to Haven Street, then Smallbrook back to Haven Street again. Good morning, the Isle of Wight, how are you? I say, don't you know I'm your native train? I'm the line they call the Isle of Wight Steam Railways. I'll be gone 5 miles and then back again. Yes, I'll be gone 5 miles and then back again. The train they call the City of New Orleans, it's got 500 miles still to go. Across the Memphis Bridge, down the Louisiana Ridge, with the Mississippi rolling down below. But on our island odyssey, our train pulls out from Haven Street and rolls along past houses, streams and thickets. There's kit shop, tea room and museum, those old engines you can see them, and they are all included in your ticket. Good morning, the Isle of Wight, how are you? I say, don't you know I'm your native train? I'm the line they call the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, and I'll be gone 5 miles and then back again. Yes, I'll be gone 5 miles and then 5 miles back again. It's just like they have turned back the clock. There's clean and comfy rolling stock, and guards and porters take good care of us. Always on then time, there are no delays, and full service on bank holiday, and that's not at all, there's another plus. There's never that damn rail replacement bus. Good morning, the Isle of Wight, how are you? I say, don't you know I'm your native train? I'm the line they call the Isle of Wight Steam Railways, and I'll be gone 5 miles and then 5 miles back again. Yes, I'll be gone 5 miles and back miles again, 'cause I only go 5 miles and then 5 miles back again. I go all the way to Wootton, and then I come back again. The Isle of Wight Steam Railway.
Well done, Brian.
I think Steve Goodman pinched the rhythm from Steve Love and wrote The City of New Orleans.
Yeah, I think you probably did. Oh, yeah. It's just, I love the steam railway, I must admit. Something quite special.
Great fun, isn't it?
Yep.
This is a song written and sung by Steve Love called Riding on the Isle of Wight Rattler. Riding on the Isle of Wight Rattler. One day at Shanklin Station, I got the inclination to catch a train all the way to Ryde. So I bought myself a ticket and got the ticket man to click it, and I found myself a comfy seat inside. But as we got underway, the train began to sway, and I asked the guard, is there something here the matter? He said, there is no worry if you're in no hurry, because you are on your way to ride on the Rattler. And you will be swaying from side to side, and you will be bouncing up and down. You'll be shaking all around on the Rattler. You will be swaying from side to side, and you will be bouncing up and down when you are riding into town on the Rattler. I said to the guard, mate, we are rocking pretty hard, and every time we move this carriage shakes. I said, have we got suspension? And he said, not that I can mention, and I'm not even sure that we have got brakes. So I went to see the driver to check he was alive, and as I was worried how he might be feeling, well, his head was full of lumps from when he went over bumps that had bashed the poor man onto the carriage ceiling. And he was swaying from side to side, and he was bouncing up and down. He was shaking all around on the Rattler. He was swaying from side to side, and he was bouncing up and down when he was riding into town on the Rattler. From Shanklin down to Lake, that train began to shake, and I suspected some kind of malfunction. As we ran through Sandown, we were all dropping our sandwiches down, and I was getting scared by Smallbrook Junction. By the time to get to Ryde, I was so terrified that I was shaking too, but out of fear. Then a passenger I met said, you haven't seen anything yet, wait until we go along Ryde Pier. Because you will be swaying from side to side, and you will be bouncing up and down. You will be shaking all around on the Rattler. You will be swaying from side to side, and you will be bouncing up and down when you are riding up Ryde Pier on the Rattler. There was a couple in a huddle, and they were trying to have a cuddle, but I could see their love affair was fading. Every time he tried to kiss her, the carriage jolted and he missed her, and she dumped him by the time we got to Brading. There was a lady in a pretty dress, and she was getting quite distressed, and nature had endowed her with all charms, but with every hump and halt, and every jerk and jump and jolt, she had to drop her bags and fold her arms, because they were swaying from side to side, and they were bouncing up and down. They were shaking all around on the Rattler. They were swaying from side to side, and they were bouncing up and down when we were riding into town on the Rattler. But lately I have heard, and I have picked up the word, there is a brand new train upon our shore. It is swift and smooth and silent, and it glides across the island, and we have not got our Rattler any more. Well, I know it will be better, but the rattler I miss it, as things will never be the same again. So it seems rather strange, but couldn't we arrange to get back our nice old rattler train? Because I like swaying from side to side, and I like bouncing up and down. I like shaking all around on the rattler. I like swaying from side to side, and I like bouncing up and down when I'm riding into town on that nice old shaking, rattling and shaking island rattling train. The Isle of Wight Rattler, riding on a train on the Isle of
a
Wight
good
Rattler.
one there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, funnily enough, I know
Huh?
I know a retired Isle of Wight train driver who used to
Yeah.
used to drive the Rattler. I definitely saw him in it on occasions, and he has had severe neck troubles over the years.
Oh,
Did he have bumps on his head from crashing into the ceiling at
I
all?
was gonna say, has he got a
You
bad
wonder,
back?
don't you?
Yeah, I have a question because we rode on that train between Shanklin and Ryde, and I don't remember it rattling. So Rattler is the previous generation,
Probably.
and now it's a nice smooth train. Is that
That
it?
is correct.
Yeah, I think you must. Yeah.
The worst ones were the ones that stopped in the late 1980s, were replaced by later ones dating from 1939.
Run by volunteers, perhaps have
No,
oil.
the ones we've got now date from the late 1980s, I think.
They can't hear me.
The new smooth
Oh,
one,
tube
that is.
train.
Oh, really?
Do you miss the Rattler as well then?
Who?
The new one, the current one's an old tube train, is it, from London?
Well, the current ones are Metropolitan line.
Yeah.
Well, they're also ex-London ones. They're all ex-London.
Oh, are they? Right.
The old ones were tubes. They were Bakerloo line.
Did you have a steam train to start with? No.
And the steam trains are still going.
Yeah.
You know, when they built the underground first, they actually used to run steam trains through them.
Actually, they had steam trains on the underground
Yeah.
right through to the end because they
Must
used to
be
use them
a
for
bit
maintenance at night. They used to go when the current was off. They used to run steam trains through.
You know what the first underground train was?
Nah.
It was owned by the post office. They had it to run mail
yeah.
around in London, apparently.
It was automated, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Even
Not
it
they had
got-
it was driverless.
It was a long time ago as well.
Well, 1920s or 1930s.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I
think
remember
so.
reading about it.
Yeah, it was extraordinary.
This is a song called Sir Greenbaum's Madrigal, or In Sherwood Forest There Dwelt a Knight. Sir Greenbaum's Madrigal. In Sherwood Forest there dwelt a knight, who was known as the righteous Sir Greenbaum, and many dragons had felt the might of the smite of the righteous Sir Greenbaum. I chanced upon him one Sunday morn, when he'd recently rescued a lovely maiden fair. Why art thou so forlorn, Sir Greenbaum? Is the heart heavy laden? Said he, forsooth, 'tis a sorry plight that engendered my attitude bluish. Said he, I don't wanna be a knight, that's no job for a boy who is Jewish. All day with the mighty sword, and the mighty steed, and the mighty lance, all day with that heavy shield and a pair of aluminium panties. All day with the slaying and slewing and smiting and smoting like Robin Hood. Or would I could kick the habit and give up smoting for good. And so he said to the other knights, you may have my possession and my goods. I am moving to Shaker Heights, where I've got some connection in dry goods. So farewell to the Dragon's Paw and the other swashbuckling games and sport. I'll work for my father-in-law when I marry Miss Genevieve Swalzer. The Greenbaum's Madrigal. Otherwise known as Greensleeves.
I don't know if anybody's ever sung that, so we'll
With
play
different
it.
words.
I don't know.
It was a moonlit night in old Mexico, and as I walked alone between some old adobe haciendas, suddenly I heard the plaintive cry of a beautiful young Mexican girl, Rosita Consuela, and she sang, La la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. You better come home, Speedy Gonzales, away from Tannery Row. Stop all of your drinking with that floozy named Flo. Come on home to your adobe and slap some mud on the wall. The roof is leaking like a strainer, and there's loads of roaches in the hole. La la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Speedy Gonzales, why don't you come on home? Speedy Gonzales, how come you leave me all alone? Hey Rosita, I have to go shopping downtown for my mother. She needs some tortillas and chili peppers. La la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Your doggy's gonna have a puppy, and we're running out of coal. No enchiladas in the icebox, and the television's broke. I saw some lipstick on your sweatshirt. I smell some perfume in your ear. Well, if you're gonna keep on messing, don't bring your business back here. La la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Speedy Gonzales, why don't you come on home? Speedy Gonzales, how come you leave me all alone? Hey Rosita, come quick. Down at the cantina, they're giving green stamps with tequila. La la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Speedy Gonzales, Speedy come on home. Brighton Gonzalez.
Arriba, arriba.
Full marks for entertainment value.
Say whether that was a higher or a lower level, Mike.
I just said a whole new level.
Very brilliant.
Could be talking about levels of depravity or something. Anyway, Brian, well done.
This is a country song about Eastbourne called Take Me Back to Eastbourne by Eastbourne band Blackstrap Molasses. Take me back to Eastbourne. I was born and raised in the little old town of Eastbourne, that's in between the country and the sea, where the Bath jazz rumbled slowly down the high street, and the little old ladies, they go out for their tea. There's an aspidistra atmosphere which surrounds you, that makes a fella kind of warm inside. There's a lonely heart that is beating down in Eastbourne, and someday I'm going back there for my bride. So take me back to Eastbourne, that's where I belong. Take me back to Eastbourne, and I'll be singing a country song. Quit my rambling around, because I'm Eastbourne bound. Well, I wish to God that I'd stayed in Eastbourne, but I had to quench the fire in my soul. I met this gambling man that came from Brighton, and he took me to the Hotel Metropole. Well, from the start the cards were stashed against me, and I didn't know the harm that he did intend. So I took my stick of Eastbourne rock and I slugged him, and that gambling man came to a sticky end. So take me back to Eastbourne, that's where I belong. Take me back to Eastbourne, and I'll be singing a country song. Quit my rambling around, 'cause I'm Eastbourne bound. I started out upon the road to ruin, and I soon became the terror of the coast. From Littlehampton all the way to Dover, I was the man that they all feared the most. Them pretty girls all worshipped and adored me, oh yay! And I was a southern kind of desperate Dan, yee-haw! But just one look at my stick of rock, and they trembled, oh yay! That's how they came to call me Candyman. Take me back to Eastbourne, that's where I belong. Take me back to Eastbourne, and I'll be singing a country song. Quit my rambling around, 'cause I'm Eastbourne bound. I've done my time in jail and I'm heading homeward, back to little old Eastbourne promenade. I'm gonna find myself a villa called Gun Rooming, and then I'll hang that stick of rock up in the yard. Then I'll grow a sweet magnolia on the patio, and I'll settle down with dear old Cindy Lou. And I'll join the young conservatives of Eastbourne. I will, and that's the only time I'll feel blue. So take me back to Eastbourne, that's where I belong. Take me back to Eastbourne, and I'll be singing a country song. Quit my rambling around, because I'm Eastbourne bound. Yes, take me back to Eastbourne, that's where I belong. Take me back to Eastbourne, and I'll soon be singing a country song. Quit my rambling around, because I'm Eastbourne bound. Quit my rambling around, because I'm Eastbourne bound. quit my rambling around, because I'm Eastbourne bound. Take me back to Eastbourne.
Thank you, Dan, Brian.
Yeah, that was written by Miles.
That was
Horton, who
great.
used to be one of the residents at the Lamb Folk Club in Eastbourne many years ago, and he wrote that song.
That was great, Brian. Thank you.
That was really good. Thank you. Thank you.
But please don't become a conservative. Yeah, that was lovely. Thank you.
All right.
When I lived on the Isle of Wight, there was a pub called the Dairyman's Daughter in Arraton. This is a song called The Dairyman's Daughter, about a man who visited the folk club at this pub and met a girl called Nellie at the bar, and this is their story. It was written by a singer and songwriter friend of mine, Steve Love, from the Isle of Wight. It was down at the Dairyman's Daughter, I went like a lamb to the slaughter, I did things that I didn't oughter, down at the Dairyman's Daughter. I went to the Dairyman's Daughter for a sandwich and a glass of cold water, and a table to eat at with a fireside seat, and that's when I looked up and caught her. Nellie was sipping a glass of Bees Porter at the bar at the Dairyman's Daughter. We made eyes for a while, and she gave me a smile, and accepted a drink that I bought her. Well, I did not think to exhort her, when Nellie told me that I should escort her to a place round the side where she said we could hide, and Nellie told me that I should distraught her. And then at the Dairyman's Daughter, she held me in very close quarter. Nellie said, give me a kiss, and I said, I don't like this, but there was nothing I could do to thwart her. It was down at the Dairyman's Daughter, I went like a lamb to the slaughter, and I did things that I didn't oughter, down at the Dairyman's Daughter. Nellie told me that I should contort her, and twist her and turn and distort her. She said, do it now, and I said, I don't know how, but that did not thwart her. She hoisted me up high for the slaughter, and placed her hands on my hind quarter. Nellie gave me a squeeze and said, you're a tease, and I beg please, this is hurting my knees, but she went for me like a trench water. It was down at the Dairyman's Daughter, I went like a lamb to the slaughter, I did things that I didn't oughter, down at the Dairyman's Daughter. Then into the Dairyman's Daughter strode her boyfriend Big Fred, and that's how he caught her. I took one look at him, and things looked pretty grim, as he could not have been much distraughter. Now her boyfriend is a brewery porter, and he is built as big as a dreadnoughter. His fists and his muscles got tauter, and his temper got shorter and shorter. Round the back of the Dairyman's Daughter, Big Fred laid into me without quarter. He broke my jaw in 3 places or 4, and he liked what he saw, so he broke it some more, and left my nose half an inch shorter. So now feeling so sorry, to Nellie I went and I sought her, and I was barred, and now that pub is 1 customer shorter, because I'd never go there, as I just couldn't dare, and it's here where I'll be, because it's much safer for me. But I've just had a fright, as Nellie is in the Lamb Folk Club audience tonight, and not in the dairyman's daughter. It was down at the dairyman's daughter I went like a lamb to the slaughter. I did things that I didn't oughter, down at the dairyman's daughter. Yes, I did things that I didn't oughter, down at the dairyman's daughter. The dairyman's daughter. I used to live on the Isle of Wight for 14 years and I sing a lot of songs about the Isle of Wight. This is a love song called The Fellow from Wellow, which was written by a friend of mine, folk songwriter and singer Steve Love. The song is about a young man from Wellow who was in love with a girl from Chale Green. The Fellow from Wellow. I'm just an Isle of Wight fellow, I've got a girlfriend who I have never seen, because I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. Yes, I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. We met on an internet dating site, and she sent me her face and profile. For true love she said she was waiting, and she sent me a wink and a smile. I asked her what should we do next, and perhaps we could meet up and chat. I sent her my photo and a text, and I said maybe we could do that. But I'm just an Isle of Wight fellow, I've got a girlfriend who I have never met, because I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. Yes, I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. I told her maybe me and you ought to go out for dinner and a drink. Perhaps we could meet up in Newport. I asked her now, what do you think? I said, how about it if we met there, although Newport is quite far away. But I think I know how I could get there. We have a bus that goes there every third Saturday. Now I'm just an Isle of Wight fellow, I've got a girlfriend who I have never seen, because I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. Yes, I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. But I didn't take her out to dinner, and to the pictures we never did go. And I didn't wine her and dine her to win her, and we have never been out to a show, because she turned my idea down, and she said it is a long way to hike it. She said Newport is such a big town, I have only been there once and I didn't like it. So I'm just an Isle of Wight fellow, I've got a girlfriend who I have never seen, because I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. Yes, I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. Her photo lives close to my heart, and her face is beautiful and her hair is fair, and her figure is rather attractive, in a bikini with wind blowing in her hair. Now I know there are people who fake it, and another girl's photo they will take it. If she has, I will just let it be, because my photo is not of me. I'm just an Isle of Wight fellow, I've got a girlfriend who I have never seen, because I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. Yes, I'm from the west end of Wellow, and she lives beyond Chale Green. So we do our romancing by talking, by phone and email and online, and we never meet up or go walking, and you know that suits me fine, because I don't have to buy her a wedding ring. We just talk, and talking is free. And I never pay a thing except for dating site fee. So I am such a fortunate fellow, and I am as happy as I have ever been, 'cause I'm from the West End of Wellow, and she lives beyond Shale Green. Yes, I'm from the West End of Wellow, and she lives beyond Shale Green. From the West of
Thanks,
Wellow.
Brian.
I sing so many of Steve Love's songs, I'm thinking of changing my name to Steve Love.
That was great.
Yeah, I know
You
about,
already did.
yeah, I think I know about 30 of his songs that he's written.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. This is a song called The Push Boat Shanty. The push boat pushes the chain ferry between East Cowes and Cowes on the Isle of Wight when there are fast-flowing ebb tides on the River Medina. It was written by Steve Love. They bought a dodgy ferry which was too heavy for the crossing, so it's always had trouble. So they have to have another ferry to push it. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, the Push Boat Shanty. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along, push it left, then push it right, push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Now the Medina's waters there I know, where the tides do ebb and flow, where people must pass across to and fro, so push the floaty over. The crossing it is too wide to wade and too high to fly, and there is no tunnel underneath to keep us dry. There is no bridge, I know not why, so push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along, push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. And so they built a giant raft, with ramps and runways fore and aft. It's neither a bridge or yet a craft, push the floaty over. A mighty engine takes the strain, and hauls across and back again. Winding on a giant chain, push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. They made that chain from iron strong, but went and built the floating bridge wrong, because it's much too deep and much too long, so push the floaty over. And much too broad and much too wide, and it gets swept up by the swirling tide. It loses its way and hits the side, so push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. So what did they do then, I note? They had to buy another boat. To keep the floating bridge afloat, they need to push the floaty over. They got a tugboat, aye they did, to push the floating bridge, I don't kid. It cost us all £1,000,000 to push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. But the floating bridge has broken down again, and it might get mended, but I don't know when. What shall we all do till then, and how do we get over? Now the push boat never does go wrong, back and forth all day long, and the engine sings lighter song to push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Now here is my suggestion, sir, float the floating bridge and let it go. It costs 5 million, yes I know, but it can't take us home. Then put the push boat on the chain, and let the push boat take the strain, hauling out and back again, and we will get home at night as right as rain. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Now if they had let it down to me, and I had the engine key, I'd take the push boat out to sea, push the floaty over, and then I'd push the Isle of Wight, and push it south with all my might, till the mainland's out of sight, push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Yes, push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. The Push Boat Shanty.
So tell me, that's a true story? That's a real thing?
Yeah, they do have a push boat to push the chain bridge over, because when the tides are heavy, because it's so heavy, it gets stuck on the chains, I think. So they have to give it a push. And when it gets to the other side, it was again a bit tricky to dock it, because they made a bit of a hash up with the ramp as well. So it's been a bit of a disaster, really. But they've got around it.
How many ferries are there going over to the
There's
Isle of Wight?
there's only one which goes to and back, but
There's
the ferry's
two
not.
sides on the island, not right across from the mainland.
No, it just goes from Cowes to East Cowes. But if the ferry's not running, you have to drive all the way down to Newport and back again, which is about 20 miles, and they take cars across on this ferry. So if it's not running, they run another ferry, but only for passengers. So the cars have to go all the way to Newport and back again.
I've been on it.
Have you? Okay. Yeah, I have.
Okay, well, thanks. It's interesting.
Yeah, when they first built it,
Right,
evidently
thank you,
it
Brian.
damaged the undercarriage of the cars, so they had to make some adjustments. It's been a bit of a disaster, really.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
This is a song by Willie Nelson called The Red-Headed Stranger. The Red-Headed Stranger. The red-headed stranger from Blue Rock, Montana, rode into town one day, and under his knees was a raging black stallion, and walking behind was a bay. The red-headed stranger had eyes like thunder, and his lips, they were sad and tight. His little lost love lay asleep on the hillside, and his heart was heavy as night. Don't cross him, don't boss him, he is wild in his sorrow, he is riding and hiding his pain. Don't fight him, don't spite him, just wait until tomorrow, and maybe he will ride on again. A yellow-haired lady leaned out of a window and watched as he passed her way. She drew back in fear at the sight of the stallion, but cast her greedy eyes on the bay. But how could she know that this dancing bay pony meant more to him than his life? For this was the horse that his little lost darling had ridden when she was his wife. Don't cross him, don't boss him, he is wild in his sorrow, he is riding and hiding his pain. Don't fight him, don't spite him, just wait until tomorrow, and maybe he will ride on again. The yellow-haired lady came down to the tavern and looked up the stranger there. He bought her a drink and he gave her some money, he just didn't seem to care. She followed him out as he saddled his stallion and laughed as she grabbed at the bay. He shot her so quick they had no time to warn her. She never heard anyone say, don't cross him, don't boss him, he is wild in his sorrow, he is riding and hiding his pain. Don't fight him, don't spite him, just wait until tomorrow, and maybe he will ride on again. The yellow-haired lady was buried at sunset, and the stranger went free of course, for you can't hang a man for killing a woman who was trying to steal your horse. This is the tale of the red-headed stranger, and if he should pass your way, stay out of the path of the raging black stallion, and don't lay a hand on a bay. Don't cross him, don't boss him, he is wild in his sorrow, he is riding and hiding his pain. Don't fight him, don't spite him, just wait until tomorrow, and maybe he will ride on again. The Red-Headed Stranger from 50 years ago, that song.
Good job. Red-Headed Stranger. Thank you, Brian. That was excellent. What a blast from the past.
The Wild Side of Life by Thomas Maguire and Fiona Ennis. The Wild Side, which I'm going to sing with Gloria. You wouldn't read my letter if I wrote you. You asked me not to call you on the phone, but there's something I'm wanting to tell you, so I wrote it in the words of this song. I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life. As I sit here tonight, the jukebox playing a song about the wild side of life. As I listen to the words that you are saying, it brings memories when I was a loving wife.
I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I could never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life.
I cried so hard the day you went and left me, 'cause some things you said, they cut me like a knife. What I wanted was another kind of angel, but you went back to the wild side of life. I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life. The glamour of the gay nightlife has lured me to the places where the wine and liquor flows, where I wanted to be anybody's baby, and I forgot the truest love I've ever known.
I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life.
Yes, it hurts me to know that you don't love me, though I know that our love's forever gone. And it's killed my soul and pride dear inside me, when I saw you in that stranger's arms so long. I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life. Now, well, I guess that I'm just a honky-tonk angel. I might have known I'd never make a wife. Well, I left the only one that ever loved me and went back here on the wild side of life.
I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life.
Now I'll just live my life alone with memories of you, and dream of kisses traded for my tears. And no one will ever know how much I love you. And I pray that you'll be happy through the years. I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life.
Yes, I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
I might have known I would never make a wife.
You gave up the only one that ever loved you.
And I went back to that wild side of life.
The wild side of life. And I'm afraid Gloria's gone back to the wild side of life. And the honky, she's just a honky-tonk angel, I'm afraid.
What a reputation to have.
And you're all on recording.
This is a song called The Unchained Floaty, about the floating bridge car ferry from East Cowes to Cowes on the Isle of Wight who wants to break free. The Unchained Floaty. Oh, said the floaty, floating to and fro, while yachts and ferries sail by, and out to sea they go. I watch them leaving on the tide, and I watch them home again, while I just float from East Cowes to Cowes and back again, fastened to a chain. And oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? All I do is to go to and fro, and I have never seen the sea. Yes, oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? All I do is to go to and fro, and I have never seen the sea. And oh, said the floaty, if only I would free to float away for just a day, how happy I would be. I long to brave an ocean wave, to sail the shipping lanes, those 7 seas whose someone please release me from my chains. And oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? All I do is to go to and fro, and I have never seen the sea. Yes, oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? All I do is to go to and fro, and I have never seen the sea. But then for the floaty came a lucky day, a ferrous fault and a rusty bolt, and her chain just fell away. Oh, said the floaty, floating on the tide, as the way she stole past them all for the ocean wide. And oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? I am supposed to go to and fro, but now I am off to sea. Yes, oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? I am supposed to go to and fro, but now I am off to sea. She floated past the Needles and all round Compton Bay, St. Catherine's lighthouse lights, then out of sight her chains all cast away. She saw an aircraft carrier and she rounded Beachy Head, and she sighted the Thames barrier and saw Rotterdam ahead. And oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? I used to go to and fro, but now I am out at sea. Yes, oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? I used to go to and fro, but now I am out at sea. When the people came next day, and they saw she wasn't there, they thought she had just gone away for yet some more repair. And when the wind and current veered and brought her home again, they sent aboard an engineer to fix her broken chain. And oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? Now back I'll go to and fro, but now I've seen the sea. Yes, oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? Now back I go to and fro, but now I've seen the sea. But oh, said the floaty, I'm waiting for a problem I can't deny, and next time my chain becomes faulty, I'll have another try. And I will cruise the Caribbean or see Africa, she said, or perhaps I might see the Northern Lights and make off round the Med. And oh, said the floaty, won't you look at me? I will just go to and fro, and I am waiting for the chain to break, and waiting patiently. So next time they complain the floating bridge has stops again, perhaps she has only slipped her chain again, and who knows where she will be. The Unchained Floaty.
Ooh, I was getting a bit worried there, Brian, but seconds to spare. Well done. We've less than a minute, so I've got no more time for ladybird jokes or stories or anything
by
else.
Steve Love, a folk singer from the Isle of Wight, who writes songs about the Isle of Wight, basically.
Well done, Brian.
This is a song called Where Your Isle of Wight Ferry Fares Go. Why Your Isle of Wight Ferry Fares Go. One day at the ticket desk down by Ryde Pier, I met a fellow who was the ship's engineer, and I asked him, will you tell me, because I am never clear, why are your ferry prices so dear. He replied, if I tell you, it must not get out. If it does, there will be trouble, of that there is no doubt. Because there is only me and a few more who know where your ferry fares go. He said some is for the crew, and some is for the board, and some goes on maintenance if we can afford, and some is for the owners, it is stashed in a hoard, in a nice tax haven offshore abroad. But that still leaves plenty stacked up in a heap, 10s and 20s piled up high and deep, and 5s and 50s all bundled and rolled, and bunged up in a bunker down there in a hold. And the engineer said, what I told you, it must not get out. If it does, there will be trouble, of that there is no doubt. Because there is only me and a few more who know where your ferry fares goes. And then when the captain says, give me some speed, the boatswain says, aye, aye, more steam is what we need. And he picks up the blower and calls down to me, below in the engine room, that's where I'll be. The engineer said, what I told you, it must not get out. If it does, there will be trouble, of that there is no doubt. Because there is only me and a few more who know where your ferry fares go. The engineer said, I will be working among all the machinery, the pistons and prop shafts that take us to sea. And I will tip all your money out onto the floor and shovel it in through the firebox door. And he said, what I told you, it must not get out. If it does, there will be trouble, of that there is no doubt. Because there is only me and a few more who know where your ferry fares go. Now if the money runs short and the bunker goes bare, we don't give a thought and we don't have a care, because all we have to do is put up the fare, and the money rolls in with plenty to spare. The engineer said, what I told you, it must not get out. If it does, there will be trouble, of that there is no doubt. Because there is only me and a few more who know where your ferry fares go. But take my advice and be sure not to say, otherwise we will put up the prices some more each day. And you poor island beggars, you can't get away, because we've got you prisoners and you'll just have to pay. The engineer said, now that I have told you, it must not get out. If it does, there will be trouble, of that there is no doubt. So next time you find that your fares have got higher, think of me as I toll and perspire, shoveling your money onto the fire, because that's where your ferry fares go. Yes, that's where your ferry fare goes.
Excellent.
Hey. Yeah, we've got to line the pockets of investors and everything nowadays. Privatise everything. Get me, wave my red flag again. Upset Kerry's mum once said, would be better if we were communists, but no, you know what I mean. It's better than the mess we're in.